Theodore. He's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Foduck, Hank and George, and the harbor master too.
It was Monday morning, and Foduck was very happy. You see, Foduck loves Mondays, because every Monday, he's in charge of docking a giant oil tanker. Well, it's his favorite thing to do in the whole harbor. Now, this particular oil tanker, whose name is Linda, arrives at the same time every week. And every week, Foduck goes about his special job exactly the same way.
Ooh, another Foduck episode. This will be interesting. He's probably one of the few characters I can recall that actually enjoys Mondays. The usual trend is no one likes that day of the week. However, for Foduck, it was different. Mainly because he got to head an oil tanker shipment, and it happened the same way, at the same time, every time. I can relate. I usually like my routines to be very, well, routine.
I'm kind of the same way. I usually like my routines to go about the same way like they usually do, and things seem to be going pretty smoothly just the way Foduck liked. Then with Theodore and George at the ready and Pearl right beside Foduck, the docking seemed normal. That is until everyone got an unexpected surprise.
Rainbow, said Theodore. Rainbow, said Foduck. That's not what you're supposed to say, Theodore. But look over there, said Theodore, stopping. It's a beautiful rainbow. It's really big, said George. It's like magic, said Linda. Even Pearl looked. Isn't that something? But we're docking now. Don't stop, called Foduck. The most important part is coming up. Now let's keep docking. Oh, we can stop just this one time, Foduck, frowned George. We don't get to see many rainbows.
Well, that's definitely true. Rarely does anyone find a rainbow that bright in the sky, and on a clear day to boot. Most of the time, you only see it after rainfall. I'm curious what happened to the red, though. The rainbow just kind of stops at orange. Surprisingly, everyone admired the sight except Foduck. You'd think George would have aligned with him. But no, only Foduck was getting anxious.
But Foduck didn't say anything. Things had always gone just the same way when he docked oil tankers. Now they were different. That felt all wrong, like his hat was on backwards. We're waiting, Foduck, said Pearl impatiently. Oh, you know what to do, said Foduck quietly. Just keep pushing. Foduck was so upset that he didn't even want to dock that tanker anymore.
Oh, come on, Foduck. I know the rainbow sort of messed up your mojo, but it's not like your world's coming to an end.
I mean, really, Foduck, lighten up a little. So everyone stopped to look at the rainbow. Big deal. One time isn't gonna kill you. But that's exactly how Foduck felt, and he ended up leaving Theodore and George instead of tooting back and heading home with them. Obviously, his friends knew something was wrong, but they couldn't figure out what he was so bent over about.
Thankfully for Foduck's sake, Theodore was the only one kind enough to try and find out why.
That was a really good tanker docking this morning, said Theodore. It was all ruined, said Foduck. It was? Said Theodore, surprised. Well, I thought it was good. But we stopped right in the middle of docking. Now, we never stop in the middle, said Foduck. Theodore thought to himself, so that's why Foduck is upset. His favorite docking didn't go the way it always does. Well, why did that silly rainbow have to come and change everything anyway? Said Foduck. Foduck, said Theodore, I'm sorry we changed your favorite way of docking, but, well, I've never seen such a nice rainbow before. It was a wonderful surprise. You like surprises, don't you, Foduck? He asked. Sure, I like surprises, replied Foduck. I don't like them in the middle of my favorite docking. Foduck, did you see the rainbow? Asked Theodore. No. I didn't really see it, admitted Foduck. That's too bad, said Theodore, because it was so beautiful, it made me feel really good inside. I thought it would be a nice surprise for everyone. Did it really make you feel good inside, Theodore? Asked Foduck. Very good, said Theodore. Well, Foduck just floated there for the longest time, thinking about changes and surprises and rainbows. How could changing your favorite way of docking make you feel good inside?
Well, it seems like Foduck has some deep thinking to do. Theodore does bring up a very fair point, though. Being that I've seen plenty of rainbows, I can confirm that they do have this really weird thing where they make you feel really good inside. And again, once in a while it may turn out to be a nice surprise when you least expect, which is what he tried to get through to Foduck. Well, by the following Monday, Linda was on her way back, and Foduck and the others were ready to dock her just like normal.
Yes, things seemed like the reset button was hit. That is, until Petra jumped in place of Pearl for this round. Which was just one more thing Foduck wasn't ready for, making him anxious all over again.
Where's Pearl? Oh, Pearl is busy today, replied Petra. But, said Foduck again, I always dock oil tankers with Pearl. Now, Theodore knew that Foduck liked his favorite docking to always go the same way. I know it's different to have Petra here instead of Pearl, he called cheerily, trying to make his friend feel better. But maybe it'll be a nice surprise. Soon, the tugs were close to the refinery dock with the giant oil tanker, and they began to slow down. Permission to begin docking, Foduck called to Petra. Oh, yes, replied Petra, very excited. Yes, go right ahead. Pearl always says very well, said Foduck with a frown. This is very impressive, said Petra, surprising Foduck because, well, she was floating on the other side of him. Pearl never watches from that side. She always watches from this side over here, said Foduck, sounding very uneasy. So now having a different pilot boat on a different side made Foduck feel like his hat was upside down again, just like when the Rainbow had changed his favorite way of docking.
Uh-oh, I think Foduck's gonna lose it again. So Petra is in place of Pearl this time, and sure, she may be more cheery, but it's really not that big of a deal. But to Foduck, it was like the world was upside down again. But thankfully, Theodore steered him back on course, trying to get things to go normally.
Begin pushing, he called in a shaky voice. Pushing, said George. Pushing, said Theodore. Check engine speed, called Foduck, sounding a little better about how things were going. Checking engine speed, answered George. Checking engine speed, answered Theodore. Start slowing, called Foduck. Now things are going the same way they always do, he thought to himself proudly. Slowing, said George. Slowing, said Theodore. Look at that, said Petra. Look at what? Asked Foduck. Now what was going to change, he thought. Oh, I was talking to myself, said Petra. I just meant, look at the way you're docking this big tanker. You really are good at this, Foduck. Well, thank you, said Foduck softly.
Oh man, Foduck just can't keep it together. The compliment also calmed him down, so that's good. And soon, he began to see that things were going okay, despite the differences in his normal way of doing things. George and Theodore even got Foduck to successfully toot right back at them for a job well done. Then, on cue, like an actor,
Look, up there, said the giant ship suddenly. Everyone turned and looked. The rainbow's back, said Theodore. Sure enough, a big, bright, beautiful rainbow was glowing across the whole harbor. Just then, Foduck turned to the tugs and said, I know we always like to go home together when we finish docking, but this time, do you mind if we change what we usually do and just float here a while? I'd really like to look at this rainbow. The tugs looked way up at the rainbow. Theodore, said Foduck. Yes, Foduck, answered Theodore. Isn't it amazing how rainbows really do make you feel good inside?
And that concludes Foduck and the Rainbow. Alright, Nick, your thoughts?
What's great about this episode is the idea of trying to find a silver lining in every situation. Life is full of disturbances, some that we can't control, but it's important for us to make sure we find the good in those disturbances. As humans, we love control. We love to be in charge and have everything go our way. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen smoothly, and this episode perfectly shows that with Foduck's dilemma. The only thing I gotta ask is, was Foduck this rigid in his routine only on Monday tanker dockings? Or is he like that all the time? I mean, this seems to be the only time we see it, but still, hopefully not. The two main locations to be featured here was the Ocean Tug and Salvage Company dock, and the oil refinery where the crew set Linda in place. For music, Shaw's work is as good as always, but the added icing on the cake is the little harp motif given for the rainbow. It's simple and appropriate all the same.
Some people that I've spoken to actually have their own theory about Foduck in this one. It's been theorized that Foduck shows traits of autism because of how he reacts to his daily routine being disrupted. While I cannot confirm or deny if this is exactly true for some on the spectrum, it is a pretty interesting theory. Whether it was intended to or not to have him like this in the story, I can see Foduck being a very relatable character here. And it's good for someone like him to understand that in life there are going to be many disturbances that we cannot control, and it's important to try and find the silver lining in them. Thank goodness Theodore helped him see that. Anyways, the sets were simple, and Graham's music in this was very good, especially with the beautiful piece for the rainbow. I feel like this is definitely one of Foduck's very best episodes. So, what do I think of Season 2 as a whole? Well, it's definitely a huge improvement compared to Season 1. Between the models, the stories have gotten better, etc. We had some interesting new characters show up, which some are pretty cool, and some really aren't. And I do think there were a lot more character developments in most of these episodes, but once again, it also feels like the continuity here slacks a little. Some events that are supposed to take place are either too early or too late picking up after Season 1. Still, even with these few little gripes, the season itself is still pretty good. With Season 2 wrapped up, on to Season 3, with All Quiet in the Big Harbor.